Hello, my name is Thomas Way and I teach the NC State Black and White Darkroom class here. And today I'm going to just be making a handful of prints. I will be kind of talking through the process of making prints and just kind of go from there. So we have our enlarger here, which of course projects the image onto the photographic paper that we use here for film prints. To start off, we need to put a 2.5 grade filter here in the filter tray up top. That will give us a nice standard contrast for our prints, a good starting point. We have our easel here, which we put the paper in. Over here we have our timer, which controls the time. We can set it from a full second to a tenth of a second, and that controls our light. Here in the enlarger we have our lens, and also with the lens we have aperture settings, which just like the timer will control the amount of light hitting the paper. We'll put that lens back in. For most of my prints I will print at f8 on the lens, just gives a good overall time and depth to the print. From here I'm going to select my negative and put it in the enlarger, which will be in this negative carrier. Okay, so we have our negative here. We're going to put the negative in to the negative carrier. There are two sides to the negative. We have the standard side, and then we have the emulsion side. The standard side is just shiny. The emulsion side has some texture to it. So we're going to put that, the emulsion side, down into this little negative carrier here. And gently get it lined up with the frame marks. Use a light here to get it all lined up. I'm going to close and lock it in. Do one last little adjustment to get everything right. So now our negative is in the negative holder, carrier, excuse me. Then to get any little dust off, we're going to take a little standard air puffer that you can get at any photography store and just blow all the dust off. And then we're going to put that in the negative, the actual enlarger. Close that down. So the negative has been put into the enlarger. The enlarger is of course projecting light down onto the easel here. There's no paper in here at this moment. As you've also noticed, we're not in regular room light anymore. We are now currently under the darkroom safe lights. So from this point on, we need to make sure that this image is in focus. We have what's called a grain finder or focus finder. It goes by multiple names. And we're going to put that down here on the easel. And it's usually easier to open up your negative, it's usually easier to open up your lens all the way to f2.8 or its largest aperture. That way there's more light hitting the easel, makes it easier to focus with the grain finder. So we have this knob up here that's next to the lens. I know you guys can't see it because of the angle we're at. So I'm going to come down here, look through the grain finder, and I'm going to turn that knob until I see everything in focus. Until I see nice fine grain, almost like beach sand, down here through the grain finder that I'm looking through. Usually I try to find a nice line in the image that gives me a nice reference point. So when I find that nice hard edge of a line, from there it's so much easier to find the grain. So we will go ahead and put our lens back to f8. So we got the negative ready to go, but before we can get the print really going, we have to do some prep work. There are 3 chemicals that we use to develop the print and get it ready for presentation. Our first one here is going to be our developer, which by obvious terms develops the image on the paper. Here in the middle we have the stop bath, which stops the action of the developer. And then in the very end here we have the fixer, which makes the print safe for light. And then at the very far end we have a large wash tub, because we have to wash all the chemicals off of the print. Then from there we can put it in the drying cabinet and let it dry, and after it's dried it is ready to go. So our chemicals are ready, our negatives in the enlarger. And since the photo paper we use for darkroom printing is sensitive to light, we are using the safe lights of the darkroom. Any kind of regular light other than amber light or red light, but amber light is typically the best, will ruin the paper. So since it is light sensitive, and things such as the amount of light hitting the paper controls how dark or light the image is, we need to make a test strip. And a test strip is we'll have a small piece of photographic paper here on the easel, and we will have a piece of just regular black cardstock, and we're going to go across the image and project light on certain portions of that test strip for every couple of seconds I choose. For this print today, I'm going to be doing, we'll go with 5 seconds. We'll start there first, and if I deem that it's going to be a little bit too dark, we'll change it to a shorter time. Okay, so we're going to make our test print here. Here's our small piece of darkroom paper. We're going to put it on an important part of the image here. Going to grab our cardstock. Our lens is at f8, which is the same aperture we will be printing at. And we're just going to come down here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Same thing again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And so on. And we'll keep going down. We're going to do multiple times. Alright, so now we've made our test strip. We've done our 5-second intervals, which is essentially 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. Now we got to take the test strip over to the developer and the other chemicals so we can see what we got going on. Okay, got our test strip. We're going to put it in the developer. The developer takes a full minute to develop this piece of paper, or any paper. So you're going to put it in here, push it down with the tongs, and we're going to agitate for that full minute. Now out of frame here I have a small clock that I'm keeping tabs on the time that has elapsed. So after about 10 seconds or so we should see the image start to show up on the paper, which it has. And we have varying degrees of dark to light from one side of the test print to the other. So we'll just let the developer do its thing here. And all we're doing here with the test strip is figuring out what time we need to set the enlarger for. The size of the print I'm making, which I'd failed to mention earlier, is an 11 by 14 inch. So I've set the enlarger to that size. So the light itself is not moving from test print to print. So 5 seconds on here is 5 seconds on the larger print. So here we go. It's been about a minute. Grab the print out of there. Let all the chemical run off. Usually it's about 5-10 seconds. Give it a little wiggle at the end. Then we're going to limit our cross-contamination to chemicals. We're going to drop the test strip into the stop bath. And only use these tongs in the stop bath, and only use those tongs in the developer and these tongs in the fixer. So the stop bath is only 10 seconds to stop the developer from activating on the image. We're going to come in here, grab the test strip out of the stop bath, So unfortunately I'm having a little bit of a suction effect on the bottom of the tray. About 10 seconds. The fixer I have here only takes 30 seconds to develop, or to fix the test strip. And it's the same time from test strip to full-size print. So we have 1 minute for the developer, 10 seconds for the stop bath, and it matters from fixer to fixer, but it's anywhere from 30 seconds to a full minute to fix an image. Take this out of here. Let all the chemical drip off. Then we're just going to drop it here in the wash. And at this point, all our paper's put away, so we can turn the lights back on. And when we're doing a test strip, we don't have to have it perfectly clean. We just need to kind of wipe it gently through the water. So let's see what we got here. We got some good times here. So we got 5, 10, 15, 20, and then 25. So we kind of want to look at the print, and it's also personal or the test strip. It's kind of personal judgment as far as which one you go with. But typically I look for the time where the blacks really start to kind of go dark. So here we got 5, way too light. 10 is okay. 15, the blacks start to really come in here in the window and so on. Looking back at 10, the blacks really aren't that light. Here at 20, they're just way too dark. 25 is out of the question. But I think we're going to go with 15 here for our natural print. So here, we're going to get the large piece of paper out, and we are going to project 15 seconds onto everything. So we know we're doing our 11 by 14 inch print at 15 seconds at f8. So we have the timer here set for 15 seconds. Before we do the print, I'm going to make sure that my crop is where I want it, which it looks like it is. We're going to make sure our grain is still in focus, which it certainly is. And from there, we're going to put our paper here in the easel. Easel has a nice little lip here that catches everything so it doesn't move and holds in place. We're going to move our lens back to f8 so we can print. We're going to set our timer from focus mode to time mode. So when we hit this button here, it will run the timer for 15 seconds versus being on constantly. So we got this, the light's off. We're going to grab our paper. Have it ready to go in the easel. Make sure the paper goes back in the black bag and back into the box itself. I'm going to put the paper here, line it up with the markings. Lower the easel down. Make sure everything's good. Make sure there's plenty of overlap on the frame of the easel, that there's no unexposed paper. And we're just going to hit the timer here for 15 seconds, and it does its thing. Three, two, one, and we're done. Now we're going to take it over to the chemicals, take this print out, and we will develop an image off of this print. Okay, we have our print here. Goes into the developer for 1 minute. Use the tongs to push it down and watch our timer for a minute here. You should see the image come out here in about 10 seconds. Should fade in. Here it comes. Alright, it's been about a minute. Since this is a larger print, it's going to take a lot longer for all that chemical to come off the paper. What I didn't mention earlier is that all these chemicals are around room temperature, so 68 degrees. You can be plus or minus 3 or 4 degrees on that and it will still work just fine. Okay, all the chemicals dripped off into the stop bath. 10 seconds. We're going to agitate for that full 10 seconds and agitate like we did for the developer, just rocking the tray. Constant agitation. Okay. Pick this up. And into the fix we go for 30 seconds. And from here we'll be able to wash it. Wash is typically about 2 to 5 minutes. I usually just kind of do right in the middle for 3 minutes. And then we'll have a finished print. And we can put it in the drying rack and move on to the next print. Looking pretty good. And then into the wash. Press it down. And then just turn on the water. And that's it. We wait 3 minutes. Set the timer. Okay. Wash for about 3 minutes here. We can turn off the water. Get our hands a little bit wet here. And just let all the water drip off. And there we go. Got a nice, beautiful 11 by 14 print. Not a bad picture for a foggy day at the beach with no clouds in the sky. Not too bad.